Hey everybody, one of the amazing benefits for me, now that I'm fully vaccinated, is that I have felt comfortable and have been able to go book shopping. And boy, did I miss it. Now, I knew I missed it, but I didn't realize how much until I walked in the doors of a bookshop and just browsed. It was fantastic. So today I'm here to share with you some of the books that I picked up for myself in my last book trip. And I cannot wait to tell you about every single one of them. So let's get started. Hi everybody and welcome back to my channel. It's Russell with Ink and Paper Blog. How are you all doing today? As always, I hope you're happy, I hope you're healthy, I hope you're safe, and of course, I hope you're reading a book or two or three or four. I have to say, going back to the bookstore was just the most amazing experience for me. I did not realize how much I really missed browsing and just picking up books, some that I knew about, some that I had never heard of, and just taking home a big pile of bookish love. I really, really loved it. A couple of weekends ago, my friend Ryan from Read by Ryan on Instagram and my co-host of the Spilling Tea Book Club, we went down to Santa Cruz, California, and went to one of my favorite independent bookstores, Bookshop Santa Cruz, and we just spent some time walking around, picking up books. We both left with a big stack of books. We then went to my favorite cookie shop, which is Pacific Cookie Company in Santa Cruz, California. They have this cherry cookie that is just to die for. Picked up a couple of those and then came home, and it was absolutely amazing. But I am here today to tell you about all of the amazing books that I picked up for myself. So, as always, get out your pen, get out your paper, get out your Goodreads, however you keep track of your TBR. If you are so able, order these books from your local independent bookstore. Or if you're a library user, what a great way to go. Get your library to order you copies so that you can read them as soon as possible. So, let's get started. The first book I've actually already read, and that is Antiquities by Cynthia Ozick. Now, I am a huge Cynthia Ozick fan, and I actually consider the shawl, or short story, one of my favorites of all time. It wrecks me every time I read it. So I always pick up everything that she puts out. And now she has this tiny little novella that has just come out. And so this is a story told from the perspective of Lloyd Wilkinson Petrie. So he is an elderly man who is one of just a handful of trustees left for this school that is sort of gone defunct. The book takes place in the I believe it starts in the 1940s. Like late 1940s. And basically what has happened is the school has decided that they're going to sort of write this memoir. All of these trustees are going to write this memoir of moments they had at the school. And as our narrator starts to do that, he starts to reminisce about a relationship he had with a young boy he went to school with, and sort of the complications of that relationship, because that boy was ostracized for a reason I'm going to leave unsaid because I want you to come to it as you read the book. And basically this is like a journal. And what Lloyd is doing is he's sort of intertwining sort of his current situation. The school is sort of going under, it's sort of dilapidated. All of the trustees that are left live together, but some are passing away, some are moving on. And it really brings mortality to the forefront for Lloyd, but it also has a lot to do with this relationship in his past and his realizations of how it sort of formed who he winds up being. There's a lot of discussions about relationships with family and fathers and sons and all of that kind of stuff. It is a short little snippet of a book, but definitely has a lot of things going for it. So that is Antiquities by Cynthia Ozick, and this is out from Knopf, and you can get your hands on it right now. So the next two books I purchased because I have been obsessed with this author, but have never bought the books. I always read about them, I read the reviews, I follow them, and I'm always like, why don't I own these books yet? And those are, let me show you this one first. Breasts and Eggs by Mieko Kawakami. And this is translated from the Japanese by Sam Bett and David Boyd. And this is her newest novel, Heaven. This is translated from the Japanese by Sam Bett and David Boyd. Both of them both out from Europa editions. I really wish I had picked up this one in hard copy. I may have to go try to find myself one. So Breasts and Eggs really just took off for me. I know that a number of my friends read it, but I followed it through the tournament, gosh, that was a difficult word today, of books where it got to the finale and wound up losing to Interior Chinatown. But everyone that read it absolutely loved it. So this is the tale of three women, two sisters and one daughter. The one sister and the daughter have come to from Osaka to Tokyo to visit the other sister. And the young daughter has sort of stopped speaking. There's just something, adolescence has come to, and she's just having a hard time communicating. And the book is sort of a microcosm of the relationship of these three women over a weekend as things sort of come to the forefront. I love what it says here. The daughter's silence will prove a catalyst for each woman to confront her fears and family secrets. And then we go forward 8 years later, and the book is told from the perspective of the sister that they visit in Tokyo. We go 8 years forward and we sort of see how this all has come together. I've heard nothing but rave reviews of this book. I am so excited for it. So that's Mieko Kawakami's Breasts and Eggs. Again, out from Europa in paperback right now. Now, Heaven is a very different book, but this one just sounds so powerful. This is the story of two children. One is a little boy who is bullied because he has a lazy eye, and then he becomes friends with a young girl who is also bullied. But what the book really tackles is this idea of this friendship brought to like fruition through terror, through being afraid, through being bullied. And what does that relationship really hold? What does it really mean? What are the foundations of that? And how all of that comes together. I am so excited. This book sounds like it's going to be fascinating. So that's, again, Mieko Kawakami, Heaven, out from Europa editions. And both of these were translated from the Japanese by Sam Bett and David Boyd. Hold them up there for you one more time. I'm really excited about those. I need to just take a whole month off of work and read. This next book, I don't know why I had not heard of it. I am obsessed with this cover. I am obsessed with what this book is about. And I'm going to do my best. So this is Open Water by Caleb Azumah Nelson, and I apologize if I'm saying that middle name wrong. And this is out from Black Cat, which is a imprint over at Grove. And get ready, this sounds amazing. So this is the story of two young Black British students, one male and one female. Both got scholarships to go to school at university. Both of them never felt like they really sort of fit in, had a place. Both become artists. I believe he is a photographer and she is a dancer. And they meet in a coffee shop. I want to make sure I get that right. Coffee shop, a pub. I should have known it was a London pub. They meet, the relationship takes off, and they fall in love. But then the relationship sort of starts to go off when it's the world and terror and fear sort of interweave itself into that relationship. And what does that wind up doing to it? And how do they grow and live from it? I've heard nothing but fantastic things about this book. It is blurbed by Yagasi and Megan Mujumdar, who I always say her last name wrong, but she's the author of A Burning, which I really respect her. She's a great editor, and I love to follow her and hear her speak. So that is Open Water by Caleb Azumah Nelson. This is out from Black Cat, and it sounds fantastic. And that cover, I don't know what it is, it just entrances me so much. I think it's fantastic. The next book I want to say I heard about on Matthew Sharapa's channel. I think he did a review of it, and that's what put it on my radar. And that's The Performance by Claire Thomas. This is out from Riverhead Books. So this is the story of three different women who attend a play. And at that play, as they're watching that performance go on, sort of all of their back history and their stories and everything about them starts to come together. And we start to realize how all of it's going to wind up playing out. And it says, by the time the curtain falls, they will all have a new understanding of the world beyond the stage. So one, that cover is fantastic. Two, I think that sounds fantastic. I use fantastic twice. That doesn't make any sense. I'm really fascinated about this idea of learning about oneself while watching a performance, but also being able to put other parts of the perspective together. I think that's very interesting. So that's The Performance by Claire Thomas out from Riverhead Books. And yeah, that sounds, all of these books have very quiet sort of narrative structure plot for me. So as you hear me say them, they just scream a Russell books. And if you watch my channel, I'm assuming that you are a Russell book type of reader. And that's not going to change in any of the rest of the books that are in this pile. The next book I want to tell you about is Painting Time by Maylis de Kerangal, and I hope I'm saying that right. And this is translated from the French by Jessica Moore, and this is out from FSG. You know how much I obsess about FSG. So this is the story of a young woman. She is an artist. She is in art school, but she has a very unique perspective as an artist. She wants to get beyond just creating art. She wants to understand the objects that she is painting in a way that's sort of like that deeper level. And she sort of is really like focused on the art and the technique and the craftsmanship. And she realizes how much work that's going to be. And it becomes her obsession, her way of life. And then she winds up becoming sort of the focus of this documentary filmmaker who follows her career and watches her as she sort of grows as an artist from, you know, each painting, how they change, how art can be frustrating, it can cause sleepless nights, and how that sort of develops into who the young woman winds up being. So it's a coming of age story, but it's also sort of a treatise on art and art's sort of position in the sort of cultural narrative. So that is Painting Time by Maylis de Kerangal, translated by Jessica Moore, out from FSG. I love that FSG put the translator right there. And I think, again, what is going on with these amazing covers? My friend Ryan actually read her last book that was translated into English called The Cook, and he raved about it. So I am really excited to get to this one. Now, the next author is probably one of the most famous authors in this list. You know, I like to pick some of those books that you don't always hear about, but Helen Oyeyemi is definitely an author that's been in the zeitgeist for quite a bit of time, and this is her newest novel, Pieces. Now, I bought this because one, I own all of Helen Oyeyemi's books, and two, the idea of a book about a couple who has purchased a trip on a train and takes their pet ferret was about all I needed. But what I've also learned is that once they get on this train, this couple sort of gets involved in this mystery, and it turns out that there are clues, and they think they're alone on the train, but then they meet someone else, and she gives them sort of this, I guess clue is the right word, that they then start to investigate. And as they go through all of these things, their own personal stories start to interconnect and become so connected, will they ever be able to be separated? Sounds really good, right? I will say Helen Oyeyemi she's just a weird writer. Like, her stuff is always kooky and clever and just a little bit left of center. So you're always like, what am I reading? And you will love the experience. So that's Pieces by Helen Oyeyemi, out now from also Riverhead Books. I think Riverhead's put out her last couple of books. Last but not least, this was totally a purchase because Ryan was like, do you want this? You should buy it. It's going to be fantastic. And that is Pumpkin. And my husband and I have a huge discussion on how I say the word pumpkin. Pumpkin. I hit the P. I don't know. The way I say it, he doesn't like it. So I will say it my normal way. I apologize. But this is Pumpkin, The Year Prom's a Drag by Julie Murphy. Now, Julie Murphy wrote the book Dumplin' that was turned into a movie, which had an amazing Dolly Parton soundtrack, which I absolutely loved. I thought it was really, really charming. Well, this is the story of a young gay boy who lives in a tiny town in Texas. He is ready to get out. He's having, you know what it's like, but he is really authentically himself. And so his boyfriend dumps him, and he decides to put together this tape. this tape to apply for this drag competition. I said drag race because I think that just in my head is what that is, but it's a drag competition. He puts together his tape and he doesn't expect that it will get played for the whole school, but it does. And he winds up getting nominated for prom queen. Well, it turns out that his sister's girlfriend winds up getting nominated for prom king. And so they decide, let's go all out. Let's run for this bad boy. Let's do what we need to do to win. And as you can imagine, one, it's a lot harder than they thought it was going to be. And two, it's going to be charming and lovely and fun. It's probably going to have a few moments. We're going to get a little teary, which is fine. Julie Murphy does that to us, and we can live with it. We can live with it because in the end, she just hugs your heart and makes you feel great. So that is Pumpkin. This year, Prom's a Drag by Julie Murphy. And I got this, and it's a signed copy at Bookshop Santa Cruz, and I could not be happier. So that is a nice, diverse stack of books. Let me see if I can hold them up there for y'all. There you go. Some translated fiction, some all over. Yeah, good stuff. I hope that one or two or three or all of these wind up on your TBR. I really, really hope so. As always, if you're a return subscriber, I could not do this without you. If you are new to my channel, I hope you stick around. I hope you like what you hear. Hopefully I did a good enough job selling these books that all of them wind up purchased by you and read by you. As always, I encourage you to read globally, shop locally, and until next time, I wish you happy reading. Bye, everyone.